started.
Sounds good. Take it away.
Hi everyone, welcome to Become a cTrader Expert crash course. Obviously today we're going to be talking about cTrader webinar, and my name's Thomas Atkinson from FX Evolution. I've got Tyrone Abella here with me.
Hi everyone, and yeah, welcome to the seminar. We should get some good things about why cTrader is probably better than MT4 in a lot of ways, but we're going to talk about some of its benefits in more detail tonight.
Yeah, so cTrader is a very interesting program. Obviously, it's kind of the new kid to the block. MT4 is the established trading platform, and cTrader is really the new, I guess, platform that a lot of people are starting to use, and there's many reasons why they are starting to use it. So just before we get started, we'd like to go through a risk warning. I'll just leave this up here for a couple of seconds, and I'd just like to let you know that the information provided here has been produced by third parties and does not reflect the opinion of Pepperstone. The information has also been provided without any alteration or verification. So some of the things we're going to be covering today is we'd like to cover why traders choose cTrader over MT4, as previously discussed. We'd also like to look at the five best cTrader features and how you can use them to your advantage, how you can get set up and start trading, and a few technical analysis live examples. So we thought we'd actually use the platform near the end of this webinar and show you something we're looking at now and in the market, and also some of the ways that we can use some of the tools inside of cTrader to do the analysis. So 5 of the best cTrader features. So a lot of features and feedback we get about why people like this program is that it has advanced order protection, which is something that MT4 does not have. It has better charting options, arguably, better time frame options for sure. So there's a lot of different time frames that you're able to actually select in the cTrader platform. It has a depth of market functionality, which is very unique, and we'll be taking a look at that. And then, of course, the ability to manage trades is very good as well with that advanced order protection. So first off, let's actually jump into the cTrader platform and take a look at how we go about logging in for the first time. Now, if you download the Pepperstone cTrader platform from the Pepperstone website, what you're going to see when you get it on your computer is something like this window. And you're actually going to see a register cTrader ID form come up in the desktop version of cTrader. Very common mistake. A lot of people actually fill this in and then press sign up. And if you have a Pepperstone account, the actual best way to get around this and actually get set up is to already have your account details, which Pepperstone will provide you with, and close this window. And what you'll see appear is this window here, with a sign in, demo account creation, all of those things. So this is the best way to get your demo account created, and also the best way to sign in. So if we're going to sign in, we'll sign into our account now. What we do is we put in our account details. And then, very important, we want to sign in with your trading account, not sign in with your cTrader ID. And what we'll see straight away appear is our account is open. We're live. We have a little trade that we already opened before. And we also have our cTrader instruction videos. And this is something that's unique to cTrader. It has a trading library of videos that you can actually access. And we'll talk about where to access that from a little bit later. So once we've closed that, we've got our platform open and we're ready to get started into a few of the different tools that are available in cTrader. So first off, let's take a look at the advanced order protection. So if we have our cTrader platform open, like it is here, and we have a trade open, what you're going to see is you're going to see a little shield icon next to the trade down here on the bottom left-hand corner. Now, if we click on that, it will bring open this window called the Advanced Protection window. And this is definitely something that isn't available in the MT4 platform. what we can do is we can actually select the type of take profits we want to do and select multiple take profits. So a common technique and a very successful technique in trading is to scale out of your trades as you're entering into profit. A lot of people don't do that when they start trading, but it's definitely something that I think is very, very important. Tyrone?
Yeah, it's definitely a good method when you are trading, especially some of the bigger patterns where you have got quite large take profits. It is very important to be able to scale out of it, and this program does give you the ability to do that. Although MT4, is a little bit clunky in that domain, and it does involve a few steps. You can see clearly here that this has been modernized for really the modern trader where timing is everything. So it's very, very modern compared to the old MT4 platform, which has been around for, I think coming on 18, 19 years.
Yeah, probably. I remember using it back in 2006, 2007. So I know it was around before then. One thing about this being able to scale out of trades is that you used to have to, let's say in MetaTrader 4, actually plan your trades. So you would have to say, okay, I'm going to trade one lot, and then you might want to have 3 different take profit zones. So you'd have to trade, or 4 different, let's say. So you'd have to trade 0.25 different, so 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, and 0.25, and then close them at the different take profit.
Basically 4 different orders. Now, although it's not costing you any more because of the spread is relative, it's just painful to have to enter 4 different trades. You're going to be potentially slipped a little bit, where this particular program actually lets you scale the one trade out. So it is actually shortening the contract size every time one of these take profits is hit.
Yeah. So really, really cool here to have this. You can select your volume. Now, one thing in cTrader that's a little bit different to MetaTrader 4 as well is it actually tells you the real volume. So when you trade one lot, which is what we mentioned before, that's actually $100,000 for the Forex market. So 1K actually means $1,000 in the Forex market. So it's actually down to the dollar amount, and we'll show you how to see that very easily later on. If we select 10 pips, that would mean that when the trade is in 10 pips take profit, it will actually take the profit and it will close the volume of 1K. If we had 10K open, we could do this multiple times and close the different amounts each time. So very, very handy to be able to do our take profits there. Another one that a lot of people like is move stop loss to break even. So we can add a certain amount of pips, so maybe lock in some profit. So let's say this trade here, which is the euro US dollar, if it went up maybe 40 pips or 50 pips, maybe that would be where we'd like to break even the trade, but we don't want to give away everything on the trade. Maybe we only want to give away 30 pips potentially. So we could lock in a 20 pip additional and then trigger when we were up 50 pips. And then we could apply that, and then we'll then apply it to our trade. So very handy little tools there. Really like that. And it's definitely something that's unique to cTrader. Now, the next one is some better charting options. Now, this comes in a few different ways. So the first one is if we have a cTrader platform open like we have here, which is the desktop version, we actually can detach the chart. So what we can do is we can click Detach Chart from that little icon up here on the top right-hand corner, and it will open up a separate window, which you can see there what I've done with Windows 10, but you can have this separate window open, enlarge it, and have that on a separate screen. So maybe if you have multiple screen monitor or you're particularly wanting to focus on a few trades, you can arrange this. And this is something we see a lot, even in the stock trading platforms out there. It's been something that's around for a few years, and MT4 doesn't have this option, but cTrader does. So very, very handy. I really like this feature. Tyrone?
Yeah,
what do you think?
It can't be actually underestimated how handy this feature is. Like we've got, in our office, we've got several computers set up with 6+ monitors, and the old MT4 system was just painful. You literally had to open up
6 platforms.
You have to open up 6 platforms, which is very computer intensive to begin with. But just as importantly, it means you have to log in on multiple accounts. Now, MT4 does have additional plugins that you can separate the charts from it, but what that does, it adds a layer of latency to placing each trade. Everything just becomes a little bit more cumbersome. And it really is a very ordinary fix to what has been around for quite some time. So cTrader platform has perfected this and made it very, very easy for users to use basically as many monitors as you like.
Yeah, it's very handy. And in this world of widescreen monitors and all those kind of things, it's also nice to be able to slot these in and have that as a saved setup. So with the better charting options, we've got our window here, and you can see that we've also got the ability to select all of our different types of charts, including dot charts, which is something MT4 doesn't have. And yep, and of course we have our time frames. So this is one that a lot of people really like about cTrader. Lots of different time frames. So if you're maybe a 15-minute trader and you trade on 15 minutes, you can now break down 15 minutes to 10 minutes to 5 minutes to 2 minutes, whatever you'd like. So you might have lots of charts open with the euro US dollar and watch for different technicals maybe appearing on those time frames. I specifically like the 2 hours. It's something that we always wanted back in the day, and I like that one. 4 hours obviously is very much used in MetaTrader 4, but even those things like 6 hours, 12 hours, some of them make sense in certain circumstances. So I check it. I always recommend checking it out, especially 12 hours. That's
the thing with the 12 hours, when you start breaking down the bigger time frames to sectors, so if you've got a daily chart, for instance, and you break it down to 3 8-hour charts, what you're basically seeing is 3 different market opens. And I think that's quite important because you can see the market action for a particular market. Say if you're trading New York market, it's roughly about 8 hours, maybe 7.5 hours of open. So you can actually dedicate how you're going to do that chart, which is something that was definitely not available in MT4. In fact, 30-minute was the only exotic chart you could get on an MT4. The rest of them was very, very vanilla.
Yeah, and look, MetaTrader 4 does have one thing that a lot of people like, which is customization, but it's not easy. Every time you've got to customize it. So this comes with a lot of the customization that you can do to MetaTrader 4 out of the box. And a lot of people like that, and that's why a lot of people are moving to the cTrader platforms. So really, really nice to be able to select these different time frames. Obviously, the detach window is really nice. I especially like being able to select a lot of things from up here, like your templates, very easy to use, zoom in and out. We've got our trends, our oscillators, our volatility, all of those things, even backgrounds, being able to change our colors and everything, all from one easy bar up the top, rather than having to do what we do in MetaTrader 4, which is to have to actually right click on it and then go, say we want to change colors. We'd then have to go in here. We'd then have to go to colors, which through properties, and then we'd select it. So it's extra clicks. And I think you see a lot of the time, even with websites out there, Amazon's #1 goal in the world is always to get the amount of clicks down from your purchase. So just like with smart software, you shouldn't have to click 5 times to place a trade or click 4 times to change your color. Being able to click 1 or 2 times actually saves you time. And when you're saving time, even though it might be a millisecond here or there, it makes a difference to your day. So if you want to be trading, every time you open up those charts, those little things that save time, because you're going to open the chart 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, it makes a difference. And I think a lot of people like that.
Look, the more times that you're spending opening and closing, boxes to change simple things like colors, it's the less time you're spending actually looking at the charts. So better to use your time more effectively in front of the screen.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a big one. So we've discussed kind of the better charting options, definitely some solutions here. I think it's more about ease of use. Better time frame options, clearly very easy to use, lots of functionality there. I think, as Tyron said, the market timings, like when you've got a market open to market close, ideally great to look at those candles. Anything in trading, if it makes sense, then usually it works. And something like that, checking out those times to do with sessions would give you a different opinion on the market. You can see this is quite a clean chart, actually, this 8-hour chart. Quite clean. It cuts out a lot of the noise that often you do see in some of those other time frames. Some clear patterns I'm seeing here, actually.
Absolutely. I'm just seeing a couple of patterns here.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So let's load back up the cTrader platform and let's talk about the depth of market functionality. So if we actually have, let's say, our euro here, what we can do is if we double click on it, #1, it opens up our trading orders. We actually didn't want to do that, but that is good. If we go down here, we can right click on this and then click on information. And what you'll see is this separate window that opens with all this information in it. So it has our ability to trade here. It also has our ability to flow through and see a few different things. So here is the depth of market. I actually like this one the most, and it shows us the surrounding prices and how much orders are there. So as it's Forex, there's some pretty serious money in some of these areas. There's 8 million here, 5 million here. You can see it moving up and down. It's a very quick market, so it will change. But it's really, really nice to be able to see that depth of market. And there's different ways for us to perceive the depth of market. So this is a different way, maybe not as beautiful looking, I guess. And then there's one here which shows it the up and down from the current price. And you can see as it's moving, it gets a bit wild. But I like this one here. I think it's the easiest to look at. It's quite a good feature.
It's a very good feature. And aside from the fact that you can actually see what's happening, we're predominantly stock market traders throughout the day. So we have this functionality in all of our trading platforms all the time. So to have that in the currency market, it was a very, very big omission from the MetaTrader 4 platform. So this is key to really understanding what other traders are doing and what sort of volume is around the trades that you're about to place. Because prior to a platform like this, you really had no idea how much volume was around unless you had, again, those additional plugins that were making everything clunky and chewing up your computer, where this is basically, a web-based program that comes in nice and quick, and you can see how fast it's very, very reactionary to every tick.
You also get this other handy info, which is the symbol info. So back down here, you can see all of the different information about this particular currency. You can see the maximum trade volume that you're allowed to place. You can see the minimum trade volume. You can see what a lot size equals. So in this case, 100,000 of the base currency, which is we're trading 100,000 euro here. And we've also got all these different things that you can always see here. So really nice. Again, this is in MetaTrader 4, but extra clicks to get to it. And I'll go through that in a second. Another one, we also do see here our trade statistics. So our placed order here, profit factors, all those other things. And we can see whether we've taken a loss or our average trades down here as well. Our leverage price here as well, if a count is 500 to 1, then we'll see it here. If we've got 300 to 1 or 200 to 1, all of that will be there. So really nice little window, depth of market, something you just don't get on MT4. Let's just jump straight into the MetaTrader platform for 1 sec. And I just want to show everybody that when you are looking for that information, you'll actually have to go to symbols. Then you'll have to select the currency. You'll have to go to properties. And then in here, you'll be able to get a lot of that information, but not all of it in a handy window. So another reason why people are starting to move away from MT4 in some aspects.
Just having that functionality at your fingertips means that you'll actually use it. And I think that's probably the most important thing. In MT4, as you could see, it required 4 or 5 clicks to find something as simple as opening session times. Whereas when you've got this window open, everything's just available to you. And if it's there, you will use it. And anything that you can use that is going to make your trading day easier is always going to be beneficial. So it's really a no-brainer when it comes to functionality in that regard.
It just made me think of that Amazon thing again, but then I thought Google Home, it's the same thing. Suddenly we've become so lazy that we turn our TVs on by voice activating them. So clicking the button versus the voice activation.
Or maybe that's the next cTrade feature that's going to come in the next edition.
Yeah, that ease of use definitely very much there. A couple other things I'll just note about cTrader that I think are really cool coming from a trader's perspective. Straight away, we can actually see the sentiment. I really like this. You can see that 49% of the Pepperstone clients' accounts have open positions to the sell side in euro and 51 have the buy side. So really there's no heavy bias either way, but sometimes you will see heavy biases on certain currencies. So if we jump down and pick up the US dollar yen, we can see here a little bit more to the buy side. A lot of people are bullish on the US dollar on this particular pair. Really nice to have it there. Again, is it available in MetaTrader 4? Yes, but you have to add extra indicators. So just not as easy. If we also scroll down, because a lot of people are interested in, of course, the cryptocurrencies at the moment, we'll see here it isn't generally available there, but I'm sure if you were able to see it, it would all be very bullish because a lot of people are very bullish on this particular type of currency. One last thing I'll note here, all of these currencies are available straight away and you see them available. MetaTrader 4, again, a lot of people don't know this. I was talking to someone about this the other day. You actually have to right-click on the market window and click Show All to see all of the available pairs within the Pepperstone platform. So you can see here, potentially Bitcoin Cash and Ripple are coming to the platform already here. These particular pairs wouldn't have appeared maybe a few weeks ago because I don't think they were there. So if you don't right click and show all quite regularly, you may not see the new pairs appearing in the platform. Whereas something like cTrader will already be showing these down the bottom. So you can see, no, they're not tradable yet, looks like, but they're here. So it's already appearing and you don't have to constantly do that show all thing. And that's something that I found very annoying over the years.
It's just something that is just so simple. But I mean, when you look at the MetaTrader platform and you look at the properties boxes, I mean, it looks a little bit like the old DOS systems, and it hasn't really adjusted.
Like the coffee shop uses DOS.
Yeah, as much as it's a tried and true method, and it is one of the most popular platforms in the world, you can see that it hasn't got anywhere near the advancements that the cTrader platform has. And it's the simple things, again, that makes the trader's life easier. Because when you can see multiple currency pairs without having to go on a search mission, you're basically seeing what the consensus is for potentially placing your trade. So if you're planning on going long the euro, it is very beneficial to know what the other currency pairs, especially the cross currency pairs, are doing without having to search.
Yes.
So
yeah, I think we're showing our age a bit there when we start talking about DOS. That's back in the 90s.
But it does look like
really
DOS.
young.
Many of you would attest to that.
Yeah, big blue screens. So with the actual windows here as well, what you'll notice is that $1,000 we were talking about, when you scroll over this, it has all this useful information as well. We can see what a pip value is. So we can see here if we were placing 1,000 versus maybe if we up this and we select a larger amount. So let's select 100,000 or what would usually be a lot. You can see what a pip value is, which in this case will now be $10. We can see it adjusted to Australian. Really cool. A lot of people don't realize that because we're trading a pair that isn't Australian dollars, it's suddenly a pip is going to be worth more than $10. It's $12.37 in this case. We can see a lot of other stuff. We can even see the margin available and margin required. So that's really handy for people that are opening accounts or opening trades. They can see all that information, and you can see the low of the day, the high of the day, and even the percentage up or down. Again, MetaTrader just doesn't provide these things. And it's just those little quality of life functionality. When I'm opening a trade, I prefer not to use these buttons. I like to do the double click, see the order open in this window, and then I will place the trade from here. And the main reason I do that is because when I'm placing the trade, I can then add my stop loss and take profit. And again, handy little tip, we can then place the percentage that we potentially want to lose in our account or make in our account. So if we wanted to place this trade, let's say we go, now it's important we put -25 because it's going to be a stop loss. And so it's behind current price for this particular trade. We're going to want this to be 1% of our account. So let's go -25. Let's say we were trading 100,000. We'll add it back in. And you can see if we were trading this and we were trading a 25 pip stop, it would be 6% of our account that we would lose if this trade went wrong, or odd $300. Now, if we had a take profit, let's say the take profit was 100, we can see now that we would get a 24.75% profit, or this amount in Australian dollars. Even putting in trailing stops here, and we can put in comments here. Very good.
This information is so important that even though we had to use MT4 for quite a significant amount of time, we recognized very early on in our trading that this sort of information was required. So we had to actually create scripts and actually get them programmed offshore to actually just get this basic functionality, which didn't even match the quality of what this cTrader can produce. So although you may not use those exact stop losses, what it will give you an idea is to how much you actually stand to lose on a trade. So it may just make you place the right contract size prior to having these facilities available. The amount of times that we had traders trading the wrong amounts in MT4 purely because they just didn't know what the size of the contract was or what it actually really meant in dollars, or where a stop loss would be and how much a stop loss would actually cost them if it went wrong, that we actually physically had to write a script for it. So to have this available, I think we sometimes take it for granted that it's the traders these days are very, very lucky.
I definitely agree with that. And I want to bring up one straight away, silver. The amount of people I've seen over the years that trade in MetaTrader 4 and they're so used to using one lot or one contract or whatever, they buy one contract of silver. And that is a huge trade. It's very much outside their risk. So the amount of people that have lost money instantly and got brokered on it, and all these other things that have happened to them because they're trading well out of their usual range on silver and gold especially, this is a great safety feature.
Absolutely.
You will lose money, most people do.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Another really nice feature that this window also has is the comments feature underneath, where you can actually leave yourself little notes as to why you're potentially placing this trade, where your stop loss is and why you're putting it there. It's little things like this will actually make traders better in the long run, because you can get a chance to review the trades that you've done, whether it's at the end of each week or at the end of each month. Whereas if you didn't have the comments in there, you'd have to keep separate notes, and many people just don't do that. So having it there in your face, it really gives you the opportunity to quickly put in a couple of lines to remind you why you placed that trade and why you may have put the stop loss and take profits where you did, just to give you a refresher when you do your reviews at the end of each month to know why you place each trade.
And those comments will even appear down here. And if we're ever looking through, let's say something like our history, they may appear in here, I think. I'm not 100% sure if they are in here. But when we pull, I just want to mention this as well. If we're ever looking at our history, again, we can just left click, hold it, and pull it out, and it opens the separate detached window. So then we can go through our history and view it. And as Tyrone said, reviewing your trades once every 2 weeks, once every month. We recommend monthly is a really good idea. You can go through, put in your range, and then actually sit down and say, okay, how did I trade this? And maybe if you've got comments in it, you'll be able to see, actually here they are. You'll be able to see your comments and say, oh, that's why I took the trade. Because most people don't realize that that's what's going on. Like they just don't realize that they're making mistakes, and why did they take those trades in the first place?
And you must remember that reviewing at the end of each month, although important from the aspect of working out whether you're actually making any money or not, you're actually going to learn a lot more from your losing trades than you are your winning trades. So don't be afraid to, add to your comments even once it is placed. So if a trade does go wrong, don't be afraid to list it as part of your review, because they're the ones that you actually really learn from.
All right, so we've covered a few things here. We've covered basically how to place potentially a trade. We've covered some of the cool features that I think this particular platform has over MetaTrader 4. But the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about a couple of things that we see people make mistakes on when they're setting up accounts. So when they're actually setting up their cTrader for the first time. So if we go to just some troubleshooting tips, what we talked about first off was how to avoid the cTrader ID login confusion on web/desktop apps. So if you ever load up your cTrader platform and you see that cTrader without the Pepperstone logo usually there, login ID, don't use that first. Make sure you log in with your Pepperstone ID. This isn't something that Pepperstone's done. It's just something that cTrader's done. And you must do that so that you can fully use your account properly with the cTrader platform. It's a little bit annoying, but yeah, always skip that first one and go log in like we did at the start. Now, the next thing, that's why we have to do this step so that we can then log in via mobile. So if you have an Android phone or a Apple iPhone or anything like that, and you download the Pepperstone cTrader app, we must log in to our Pepperstone platform first through the web trader or the desktop trader, and then we'll be able to access a feature which will allow us to get the login details for our mobile. So let's talk about that quickly. If we have our platform open, what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to actually go up here to the top right-hand corner, and we'll see some information. We'll see a login and a sign-up window. So if we have a login window, let's say I put an email in here, and I could put in this, and then, of course, log in. I can also register. So we'll register one now. And then we'll click sign up. And what you'll see is you'll see whether our account is linked or whether it's been linked to another account. So in this case, I have linked it to another account before, but that's what you need to do. And you'll see your email address generally appear up here with some information. Now, the reason why you want to do it that way is because once you've got that email and password set up, you're going to receive details or have the details that you need to then use to actually log into the applications on your phone. So you must do it that kind of step-by-step process. You will not be able to actually log into the account without following those steps. So you have to log into the cTrader ID after. Another reason why you want to do this is because once you've done that, you're going to get access to the ability to send yourself email alerts. So if we have our Euro trade up here, and let's say we want to set up alerts and we were logged in, you're going to actually be able to set up email alerts as easily as just selecting price up and down, and then it will email you those alerts straight away, which is really, really good because email alerts inside of the MT4 platform are just not that easy to set up. Whereas cTrader, it's just log into that account and you're ready to go. One last thing I think also with this particular account is once you've logged in, you're also going to be able to access all of the video files or the video library. So if we click this little kind of old school camcorder, you'll actually load up the cTrader introduction, cTrader features, and all these learning features up here, which will load up. And this will give you access to all of the information about how to actually trade within the cTrader platform, similar to what we're talking about today, and all other kind of extra little features that the cTrader platform has. So really, really good. Strongly suggest you check that out if you're getting used to how to use cTrader. Tyrone, got anything else to say about cTrader or MetaTrader 4?
Yeah, I think, look, they've both got their places. There's no question. There's going to be the diehard MT4 traders that, will stick by it because its functionality, is very easy. But I encourage those people who haven't given cTrader a go to definitely just have a little bit of a play around with it, even if it's in a demo account at the start, just to get a feel for the platform. But unfortunately, I was one of those dinosaurs. It took a little while to convince to get into the cTrader platform. But even on the mobile apps, I mean, we can't show you a mobile app on this particular instructional video. But when you do actually use the cTrader on your iPad or on your iPhone, I think you'll really see the difference between the way you can interact with the program as opposed to the MT4 version, which again is a little bit cumbersome. You have to log in from different accounts, and it does break down quite often. I have found where the cTrader platform, once you have gone through the correct login process, like Thomas alluded to, it is very, very straightforward. And the emails just work so seamlessly compared to any other program we've used previously.
Yeah, very, very easy. You can also have the alert set to just make a sound, but emails are really, really handy. All right, well, let's jump into some actual technical analysis with cTrader and talk about some of the reasons we like it and just look at something in the market right now. So we'll use the US dollar yen. Let's load up a chart there. We can do that by just clicking this middle button. We've got our US dollar yen. We'll expand it to the large size here. And then we can actually start to look at this chart and maybe come up with some ideas for how we may trade it. So if we have a hour chart, let's jump into 4-hour chart. And actually, we'll go to a daily on this one because I know what we're looking for. So if we have a daily, we can then zoom in and out. So we'll zoom out a few times here. And what we can notice is that I've got the price here, but there is a clear kind of pattern that's forming on the US dollar yen. And using some of the cTrader technical tools, we'll be able to actually draw it up and maybe make some decisions. So first off, what I'd like to do is I'd like to draw a horizontal line at this support down here, and then we'll draw a horizontal line at the resistance up here. And what we'll notice is, if for anyone out there that knows a lot about technical analysis, this is actually a big channel pattern currently on the US dollar yen. So it's been channeling where the support is at this point down here, and the resistance is up here. So right now we're seeing US dollar on support, pretty strong support at that.
Yeah, and the fact that it's at the bottom of the trend line that we've identified, for those who understand the channel rules, you'd know that the channel was validated around this area here. So you've had a pretty good opportunity to take the shorts and the long. And we've got a head and shoulders that formed at the top of the channel here, which is now at the bottom of the support. So the fact that we're able to zoom in and out so easily, and with the charts being so clear, makes it very, very easy to identify patterns that you may otherwise not see if you're used to the old way of just going, daily, 4-hour, 1 hour. where if you break these, you can see that Thomas went through a couple of the time frames very, very quickly, and we were able to ascertain fairly quickly which chart actually suited the purpose that we're looking for.
So from this point, then what we can do is we can actually add stuff like our indicators. So if we wanted to add something like some indicators, we can easily do that up here. Let's say we wanted to add, what would we like? I think let's put on something to confirm this for us. We will add
a few. Maybe we can add some. We can add some MACD. We can add a stochastic.
Yeah, I think we'll put the MACD histogram on. So let's add the MACD. Now, generally, I like to just leave the standard with MACD, so we'll pop that on there. And we can see that potentially there were a few times when it came down. So you can see the first time it came down to this support, the MACD was less. Now we're seeing the MACD be about equal to the previous time. So there's no real clear reason for why we like MACD in this point, but it is there. Everything is just really easy in terms of where it's at. So we've got those indicators really, really quickly up here. If we were doing the same analysis in the MetaTrader 4 platform, what we would have to do is we'd load it up. We'd have to go over to the US dollar yen, pull it on our chart, go to the daily, zoom it out, put in our lines, which we can do here. And then we'd have to go insert indicators. So it's that extra kind of click. And then we'd have to go oscillators and MACD, then press OK. So you can see it's just that little bit extra steps.
And what you've probably noticed too, for the people who haven't used cTrader before, compared to the MetaTrader 4 standard platform, there's just a lot more indicators available to actually use. Now, there are literally thousands of indicators that you can actually download and install into MetaTrader 4. But again, it's a plugin that requires additional work to get it in there. And also, they can actually definitely slow the system down. MetaTrader 4 is not optimized to work with computers at their full functionality. They're very, very intensive. So the fact that these indicators are already here, it gives you the ability to quickly add indicators that you may even know, not have used on the MetaTrader 4 platform simply because they weren't available. I've just noticed a lot of the indicators that we've got here are actually integrated from stock charts that they use in the US, which MetaTrader have not actually even got a version of. And we know this for a fact because we've had to actually program a lot of our own indicators that we needed that were actually mainstream in programs like cTrader but weren't available in MT4. So it just requires an extra step, an extra programming if there is something there that you haven't got. But as you can see, the range is very big and it's very, very quick to access them.
Now, I've got a question from George here, and he's asked a question about cAlgo. We're not going to cover cAlgo strongly in this particular webinar, but cAlgo is a really good tool, and it brings up a point that Tyrone was talking about where this particular platform is actually structured so that multiple CPUs can be used. So MetaTrader 4 is so old that it really only uses a single processor when you're doing testing or back testing within algorithms, whereas cTrader does use some multi-core. So when we're using an algorithm testing, you will notice a benefit from having faster processors or newer processors on your computer. cAlgo is also a lot easier to use. So if you don't have much coding experience, you can use cAlgo, and that definitely provides you with some options to look at the automation of trading and look at your systems in automation of trading.
The big benefit of cTrader in that regard is that if you do purchase a powerful computer with multiple processors and vast amounts of RAM, you're actually going to get the benefit of that computer, as opposed to MetaTrader, where even a $10,000 computer will run like a $500 laptop if it's not optimized correctly, because MT4 simply has not got the functionality to be able to optimize the cores correctly.
I just thought I'd click this one quickly. You can see you can change the black or white scheme. I actually recommend black almost all the time. It's easier on your eyes when you're spending a lot of time in front of the charts. But just a few things to finish on. Watch lists, another great little feature of cTrader. When you create a watch list, you can press OK here. When you've got it open, you can then open it up, click add all of your different things. You can add about 10 to your watch list. And this just means that rather than going through that giant list that we had in symbols, you'll just see the ones that you most likely trade. So a little bit of customization there. Again, that's just not as easy in MetaTrader 4. One last one here is when you've got the account actually open, you can click fund your account. It'll take you to the Pepperstone website and into your account, and it will actually take you directly to where you need to fund. Nice little handy feature. And again, ease of use, which is nice. And you've got your trading accounts as well, where you can have all of your different trading accounts, clear button. MetaTrader 4 to open up your trading accounts, file, log into trading account, then you log in. So it's always just that one step ahead of the MetaTrader 4 in terms of ease of use. I'd like to just hand it over, I guess, to the room if anyone has any other questions about cTrader. Josh, can you just, is there anyone asked any questions, or would anyone like to ask any questions now so we can answer them at the end of this webinar?
We've got none at the moment. Seems like you guys covered everything quite in depth, and I think everyone's quite satisfied.
Okay, well, excellent. Well, today, of course, we've covered some of the basic features of why cTrader is a good platform for you to start with. I definitely suggest it if you're starting off trading in Forex or indexes or even cryptocurrencies. cTrader is a great place to start. And I think that it has a lot of the customization that you have to spend a lot more time with MetaTrader 4 to get there already built into it. So I definitely suggest you check it out, especially from the money management side. And if you have more questions in the future, we might even look to do another cTrader more advanced C-Algo webinar. I think we might be getting a question. I'm not sure.
No, we've got none at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you very much for attending the Pepperstone FX Evolution webinar on cTrader. And we look forward to seeing you in the next Learn It Live sessions coming up in the next couple of weeks, where we'll really break down the market and show you how we look at trades and how we look at the actual market at that period in time.
Thanks very much for joining us, guys, and we look forward to catching you at the next webinar.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.